Hello survivors and welcome to Tier Death Experience, the first Aid Spray show where we rank various aspects of survival horror, various aspects of Resident Evil, and actually various costumes in Resident Evil. This is the fourth in a series, so here we are yet again, this time with Chris Redfield. And I am also this time with Berger.
Hello.
And Jordan.
Hello.
And yeah, we're going to rank almost every Chris outfit. It turns out he's the character that has far and away the most outfits in the series, so we're going to try and keep this going at a good pace. But it is, I think we calculate up to about 29, and that's removing, you know, some fairly obvious repeats and stuff. So there might be slightly... It's a lot of pockets. It's a lot of variations of the STARS outfit. Whereas, like, these might be slightly different. I'm sorry if your favourite version of that isn't on here, but I want to go to bed at some point tonight. So, so let's start way back in the original 1996 version of Resident Evil. Chris Redfield, you know, I'll do what James does. I'll plonk him on the tier to begin with. Here he is, the classic 96 Chris costume. Jordan, how do you feel about the original?
I gotta give it an S. Like, it's as simple as that. It is iconic, to overuse a phrase, but, you know, quite simply, it puts the S in Chris.
I think you're going to say STARS, but that's good, yeah.
No, we like to put the S in Chris around here. Basically, it's the OG, so, yeah, it's great. It's kind of everything that you kind of then compare other... Which
we'll inevitably do, yeah. Exactly. Bergs, how do you feel about this one?
I'm gonna give it an A. Like, it's good, but you know, we were talking about our favorite versions of this costume in other situations. Like, that was the first comment that we had, and ultimately speaking, I really think that there are better versions of this costume out there. I agree, it's iconic. It's, you know, it's the standard by which all others are judged. But if we're talking a tier list, I think an A is a solid point for it.
Yeah, that's fair. Actually, I'm in agreement with that one. You make some really good points. I think there is some stuff coming that's going to easily... what's the leapfrog? That's the phrase I'm looking for. This one for me. I really like the sort of darker tone green of the colour on this one compared to one of the ones that's to come. I don't think it's S tier purely because in that game, at the very least, you've got stuff like Jill, maybe even Wesker, which is quite simple, but the sunglasses, those are like S rank, standout kind of stuff. Chris is just a little bit more simple. It's nice and practical, but it's not as memorable as, you know, Jill's crazy shoulder pads and beret, for what it's worth.
I'll argue against that a little bit. The knife is iconic.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. That does carry through the series. But yeah, I think A is a good place to start with the original game, and we're going to have a bunch of alternative costumes from various different ports. I'm going to try my best to remember what's what. So the first one up is the original unlockable outfit in the 1996 game, which is the sort of, I guess it is brown leather with Made in Heaven on the back, the first appearance of that phrase. Bergs, how do you feel about the unlockable outfit?
I'm aghast that they stole Jordan's jacket first. But I don't think this is bad. This seems like something that Chris would wear on a night out, you know, hobnobbing around Raccoon City. It looks like they called him out on his night off. I would give this outfit a B. I don't necessarily hate anything about it, but aside from the fact that it's an iconic set piece from another game, and the back of it is the same thing as Jill's vest. I mean, I'm not married to it. I don't hate it, but like I like it for reasons beyond the costume.
Claire's vest, I think, is probably yeah, fair. I mean, I actually, you know, Welcome to Raccoon City's got a bunch of cool, fun nods and stuff in there. This is the one that kind of made me pop the most, where Chris is wearing like a brown leather jacket. I was like, that's got to be a reference to that. Of all things, what a weird thing to reference, but I was kind of happy with it. But that being said, yeah, it's okay. Jordan, how do you feel about it?
I quite like this. Looking through all of the different costumes, especially sort of the stuff that's kind of like meant to be sort of casual costumes.
Right.
Chris, I was always trying to think of like, what would Chris actually wear? There was a lot where I was like, no, definitely not that. But this one I kind of felt like, I could imagine sort of Chris sort of like off hours, sort of, you know, wearing sort of a jacket like that. Although, of course, it does kind of look like he's straight out of Shenmue. So,
Yeah, oh my god, I hadn't even thought of that.
He's America's Ryo Hazuki, otherwise known as Ryan Hansen. I like it. I mean, it's a nice little sort of bonus outfit. I gave it an A. I don't know if I'd necessarily give it an A now, because I don't know. I feel like our standards are sort of changing. OG Chris is at A, so maybe this is a B. I don't know.
Yeah, this around that, I wouldn't be against putting it as a low A. I think you're right in terms of a casual Chris outfit, cart before the horse. I think this is definitely one of the better ones, if not the best one. Like, realistically, you can see him wearing this. He is a practical man, so he's just going to wear, I'm going to wear a leather jacket and, pants, and that's it. And I like my military stuff, so it's going to have that on the back. It's about as simple as Chris's. It's not what I was going to say, but it works. Bergs, where do you think placement wise? Where are we feeling?
I said a B. Like, it's not as good as baseline Chris. I definitely agree. It's probably the best casual Chris outfit, and to Jordan's point, it is what he would wear. Kind of just beige and present. I put it at a B.
All right, let's go with B then. That seems fair. Next one's a bit of a weird one because it's the PC exclusive alternate outfit on many versions of the original Resident Evil, as I understand. I don't think they add outfits, they just swapped the original unlockable out for a different one. So this one is really weird. I can't really make heads or tails of what this even really is. Jordan, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, it's a C for me. It's not very Chris at all. Like, he's worn many different kinds of outfits, but I'm not sure if I've ever seen him in a tie in any other outfit. It just doesn't quite suit him. The jacket's kind of cool, but I don't know. Is it laundry day at the Redfield house? It just looks very mismatched. So.
Yes, it looks very mismatched to me because the jacket looks sort of leathery and stuff, and I'm like, he's wearing a leather jacket with a tie. I'm like, okay, I mean, it was the mid-90s, I guess. I don't know. Bergs,
a yellow tie at that, like a real white mustard tie.
Yeah, it's an odd choice.
So, I don't see it as leather. I see it as like a members-only jacket. Like
oh yeah, yeah, I know the one you mean.
Like a blue members-only jacket,
a
like
smoking jacket.
Yeah, well, a smoking jacket isn't. It's like the thing that Hugh Hefner wore.
Yeah. Like that kind of like crushed velvet or velour.
Yeah. You get it. That's the one I see here. I don't know what Brave Bombers are referenced to. I'm with Jordan.
Yeah,
I'm a C. Yeah,
C is probably. That's fair. I mean,
why there are 13 bombs on the the back of the jacket and stuff like that. Just secrets we may never know. Right?
All right, exactly. We'll never understand. This could potentially wind up. I feel like prediction going to be quite a low one. I think a lot of C's are going to push this a bit further back, but I'm happy with C to begin with. The next one we're moving on to, my screen is so dark I can't even see what it is. This is the Sega Saturn version of the costume. Sorry, there we go with it now. So yeah, this one's I don't know. Sega Saturn Resident Evil is really weird, and all of its like exclusive stuff, as much as I kind of enjoy that game exists, is kind of like, let's just recolor this a little bit. Like, we have an exclusive hunter. It's just kind of a brown hunter thing. We'll make it a little bit elongated and insectoid. We've got a gold tyrant, and yeah, Chris's outfit is just, I don't know, we'll make it blue and green instead of green and white. Bergs, how do you feel about this one? Because it's pretty crap in my opinion.
I don't like it at all.
Fair.
Especially like the only redeeming thing I can see about this, and I'm digging for a nice thing to say about it at this point, is it looks kind of like Leon's outfit.
Yeah.
And that's all I have for a nice thing to say about it. Is it looks kind of like Leon's outfit. Still, it is the worst outfit by far. D.
Yeesh. Okay. I mean, yeah, I'm inclined to maybe agree with that, because not just because it's kind of dull, but when you're playing a survival horror game, I know Resident Evil 1 isn't particularly dark looking. It's quite colourful by today's standards, but you want your character to kind of stand out and pop out a little bit, and that's what the original costumes in Resident Evil do, at least a little bit. This looks kind of muddy, like you get lost. As I said, I couldn't even see what it was in that tiny image at first. Jordan, how do you feel about this? Is this a D rank?
Oh yeah, this is the pits. This is a D, unequivocally. It's just not creative. I mean, it's got the sort of the stars branding on the back, but besides that, it's literally just like a big flak jacket and sort of navy fatigues. It's really not exciting. The word that jumped out to me about this was grunty. Like he just looks like a grunt. He doesn't look like Chris Redfield, a hero. It's just grunty. So, like Chris is serving grunt, but not in a good way.
Serving grunt!
And we'll have plenty more opportunities to see Grunt Chris again on this list.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, that's going to be one of those things that I just find myself laughing about for days now. Thank you for that, serving grunt. Okay, so the next one in terms of Resident Evil 96, this is the director's cut version of the costume, and I feel a little bit guilty because I just kind of bagged on the other one for being a bit of a recolor and sort of boring. I like this one a lot better, at least. And that, again, as I say, is because it kind of pops out. It's like having the white as the primary colour helps you stand out a bit more. Bergs, how do you feel about director's cut, Chris?
I kind of like it, actually, and I'll explain why. When we did the Jill episode, we loved the shoulder pads, and I still love shoulder pads. In terms of a practicality of this outfit, I could see this being something that he would put on. I shook my head because it's shoulder pads and they kind of just buckle.
Yeah.
I like that they have a way to be affixed, but I can't imagine why he would be wearing them. But they look cool. They're to nod to Jill. I'm here for it.
No, fair point. The shoulder pads are nice. I have a weird one with this. For some reason, director's cut always makes me think of Steve. I don't know why. I guess it's because of him and James's playthrough of the original game was the director's cut version, and I usually play just the outright original. So I don't know. It's something I have a soft spot for it because I'm like, Steve likes this one. I don't know if that's true or not. It's just something that my brain has decided. So I like it for extra points for that. But Jordan, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I can't help liking this one. Like, it's weird because it's kind of, as you say, it feels like something that not only would sort of RE1 Chris wear, it kind of almost feels like a modification of his, original clothes anyway. Like maybe something that he might change into, further down rather than being like an unlockable. But yeah, it's weird because it's like I want to give it like a low A just because I kind of like the stuff that just makes sense in Chris's world. Don't get me wrong, there's some like weird ones that I definitely really like later on, but I give it points for that. So yeah, it's fine. It's not too imaginative, but to its credit, it kind of resembles a character from a future Sony series. That could win a pile of shame poll. Absolutely. A little bit of foreshadowing for our landslide poll.
Is it winning right now?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's smoked the competition.
Yeah. Real uncharted territory there.
Okay. So far what I'm hearing is that it's bottom of A. Do we have any advance or maybe? Is that okay?
Bottom of A.
All right, sweet. Okay, let's get into our first weird and wacky one of the evening, which is Resident Evil Deadly Silence's additional costume, which is Ninja Chris, which I don't really understand why, but there it is. Jordan, Ninja Chris, go.
I'll explain this.
Okay, please do.
What is more Deadly Silence than a ninja? And therefore, what is more ninja than a deadly silence?
I can't really argue against that.
So it's perfect for that. No, I do like when bonus outfits just don't make sense in this kind of way, in like a real funky way. This is what I like. I like when they just kind of give you something that's really sort of left field and silly, something that really kind of stands out in the environment and the game. You're just kind of like, well, I'm having fun because I've unlocked this. This is just a little sort of like fun,
Yeah.
outfit to run around in. And yeah, so it doesn't really have to matter if it kind of works. I give this one a pass. I'll be really tough on some other ones, but yeah, this one I give a pass to. And I give it an A, but maybe a lower A.
Interesting. You know what? It's a fair point. Like, you do kind of want a silly costume to play the game in when you're running around, especially because Deadly Silence is a bit more action focused. So it is kind of like on subsequent playthroughs, especially. It's like I'm just goofing around, having fun with my infinite rocket launcher or whatever. So yeah, maybe you genuinely might have cracked the code though with Deadly Silence and Ninja. That's probably the reason. Burger, how do you feel about Ninja Chris?
I am well on record that I'm not a fan of the novelty costumes.
Yeah.
However, Jordan with the pitch of what is more ninja than a deadly silence? it's an A for me. Jordan earned this one.
All it's missing is some shurikens to, throw at the crows and stuff.
Make that the knifey things, where instead of you're just knifing, you're just throwing shurikens.
Master of Shurikens. I don't know. If you guys agree that it's in A, then it has to go in A. It's democracy, I guess. Like, I would. Oh, okay. I feel like it's a B to me, but if I'm outvoted, I'm outvoted.
Listen, I'm also well on record as changing my vote later in the series.
There is also that. There is that whole part of the show to come yet. Okay, that's fine. Let's go with A then. So, sticking with the Spencer Mansion for just a little bit longer. Again, back to what I said at the beginning of the show, there's actually a lot of outfits in the remake of Resident Evil that we won't be talking about because they are just dragged and dropped from other games. But first of all, we are going to talk about the default version. So here is the remade version of the original Star's outfit. Burger, how do you feel about this one? Is this better than the original?
This is my S tier Chris. Like, I'm calling, if I'm thinking OG Chris, this is OG Chris. This is the ideal. It accomplishes the exact same mission as was the original intent. It's different. It pops out. It's not as, because we're doing these in like game order and not in release order, it's definitely not as bad as other titles that we've seen at this point. In terms of this version of this outfit. Right. It's grounded, it's real, it's utility. S tier. Like, this is it.
I completely agree. Yeah, it is just further refinement over what was good. I like his. This sounds weird because the other guy's got polygonal arms, so there's not much you can do about it. But I like his build better. I like his face better, which is, as it comes together in terms of the whole model. And yeah, just the nice little bits and details. And another just more. This is speaking broadly, but like, they just nailed on the colours for me. Like with Jill in Remake, there is some people, shout out to Sonny Bauer, friend of the show, in fact, who one of his little craws he has with Remake is that they really washed out Jill's outfit. It loses a lot of its standout blue colours and kind of saturates, whereas this is pretty close to what you'd imagine it would be in HD. Jordan, is this an S rank?
Absolutely. Again, this is the sort of the Chris that I see. This is the other OG, the OOG, or if you prefer acronyms, OOG. And I love my OOG, Chris. So yeah, S tier, very easy S tier.
Yeah, for sure. Not much of a debate to be had for that one. Maybe this one though, although I don't know. I feel like we all might be on the same wavelength for casual, quote unquote casual Chris from Remake, which I believe is a reference to a Brad Pitt role. I'm not actually sure what film. Maybe I'll Google it now while we talk about it. Bergs, how do you feel about this? I don't know. Snowboarding Chris, extreme sport Chris.
See, this looks to me like Chris is about to go like rob a bank. Like, he's got a beanie, he's got like long sleeves, like nondescript, but like I guess the back is pretty distinctive. But he's got like his tactical gloves, his fanny pack. Like, this looks like a Chris who is looking to commit crime.
That's incredible.
And as such, I hate it. D-minus.
D-minus.
All the way down.
Over here inventing new tiers. Jordan, where sits this abomination?
Okay, yeah. Well, I give it a low C because yeah, it's just not Chris at all. It's not even that interesting as a sort of like an outfit, but just like if there was a style guide or like some kind of design bible for Chris Redfield, one thing that would absolutely be in there is that Chris Redfield is not a double layered t-shirt long sleeve guy. It's not something that goes together.
No.
Like how on earth are his biceps going to break through double layers like that? It just doesn't work. Honestly, he just looks so unconvincing. Like he would be like the scrapped character in SSX Tricky or something like that. He looks like he is an undercover cop at the X Games.
I was going to say, it genuinely looks like the "How do you do, fellow kids" meme.
Exactly. It just really throws me off, and I completely forgot about this outfit. You're gonna get into rank, and it was like, oh dear, no, straight down to C. It may even be a D.
I think it is. I'm happy to say that this is a D. I don't know if it's as bad as Sega Saturn because it's at least more interesting to look at. But it's still crap, and it's not Chris Redfield. Yeah, this is 1996, not the early 2000s. Like, I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one other nice comment about it. Is it's kind of the same color as Claire's vest.
Sure. I don't think that's intentional. Just a nice coincidence. I've just looked it up. The film is The Mexican, and Brad Pitt basically wears this outfit in it. There's a picture on screen now during the edit, but you guys will never know. So there you go. It goes down into
all the Brad Pitt movies.
Yeah, right. Classic.
You didn't want to have Tyler Durden, Chris Redfield?
No, yeah, exactly. You think Seven or something, right? Because he plays a cop, so like, you know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well.
Okay, we got another Stars outfit to rank next. We're going to move from remake into Resident Evil 2, specifically the later releases of the game that have the battle mode, where Chris was an unlockable character. Here he is with a unique face and a unique character model in general, with his elbow pads. Jordan, how do you feel about bright, luminescent Chris Redfield over here?
I want to see if he's going to do the people's elbow on somebody.
He's going to, yeah. Throw it at a zombie.
This is a very charming and weird sort of outfit and model, to be quite honest. It kind of looks like it's from an alt reality.
It does, doesn't it?
This is from like a beta or something like that. But it's classic and it works. I do like it. Like it's like a low A, because it's not like it's not breaking any ground with Chris's design or anything like that. But it's paying homage to the original, and it's trying to kind of fit it into like RE2's art style. And I don't know, it's novel for that reason. I'm giving some really weak arguments for an A here, but yeah, that's what I went with.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go that high with it personally, but I do have a soft spot for it because it is a weird little kind of overlooked part of Resident Evil 2's history, like unlockable Chris Redfield in the battle mode. It's such an interesting little thing, as I say, because it's a unique character model that only shows up here. It obviously based on the original, but also in its own way completely different, with the color choices and the face sculpt is different. Burger, how do you feel about this little weird Chris right here?
I don't hate it. Honestly, I don't think it's an A. It is a weird color. It's like
it's a bit too bright for me. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yes, yeah, for sure.
It definitely looks like a Chris cosplay. In terms of how it sits in Resident Evil 2, it's definitely kind of out of the color palette for that. So
yes.
I guess it's for that. I'm with Sai. Like, there's charm to it, but I don't think it's A worthy. A has to be bangers.
I'm actually pretty happy with where it is, actually, where it's plonked it down right there. I think the leather jacket's is cooler, but it's not C bad.
Right.
Okay, cool. We've got another Stars outfit, a slightly different one. This is the prototype Stars outfit that Chris basically stole from the RPD before he left for Europe. This is his outfit in Code Veronica. It also appears in Remake 1, Dark Side Chronicles, I guess. I think it might be in a few other games as well. But yeah, this is an interesting one for me because obviously with the Stars, it is nice that they've got all their own unique outfits because it makes them more interesting to look at. But it's kind of illogical. Like, as a military group, you just wouldn't do that. They would have a uniform. So it's nice that they actually have in the lore, this is going to be the Stars uniform that everyone eventually would probably have to wear. Like, they were trying to figure out what it was or whatever. And this was probably going to be the final version, so Chris kind of takes it in honor of his fallen buddies, and I kind of like it. And actually, it is quite simple, but I actually kind of like the way that it looks. I really like Code Veronica, Chris. Jordan, how do you feel about this one?
That was really nice. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to just like
Destroy it.
I had so little to say, and all of it was sort of disparaging. Like, I'll just read what my notes were. Very lame, very bland. This Chris Redfield sweats eating muller rice. and I gave it a C. So it wasn't that harsh.
I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. Bugs, how do you feel about this one?
Decidedly medium.
Okay.
It's definitely the right shade of green.
Yep. Yeah. Sure.
But this looks more like Carlos than Chris to me.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Fair.
So I don't like it on principle of that, generally speaking. CV also taints this being my least favorite of the classics.
That's not fair.
It's not on here, but I think the logo on the back of this one looks really cool.
Yeah.
Because this is the one where it was just black, like outlined, right, with white text.
Yeah, I think it's just like white scratched sort of text almost.
Yeah, I like that a lot about it. I'm gonna say high C, low B, maybe.
Okay. So where I would put it right now is above RE2, Chris, but I feel like maybe that's not the consensus. So maybe it's okay where it is, or is it a C? I don't think that it is. I think that it's reoccurred so many times throughout the series.
Yeah,
I've got a soft spot for it.
Looks like Chris. So
yeah, it looks like Chris. So it's a B. Right, let's go with that then. Okay, fine. So speaking of the Chronicles games, we've got a couple of costumes that come specifically from that. One, of course, is Umbrella's End Chris, where he's all in his parka ready to take down Umbrella in the snowy regions. How do we feel about, cold Chris? I don't know. Umbrella Chronicles Chris. Bergs, how you feeling?
I think this outfit is lazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair.
It's lazy character design because it's just, let's give Chris a parka but put his vest over it so you know it's Chris.
Yeah.
He's gotta have the green vest, everybody. It otherwise looks bland. I know we've seen a couple of costumes like this one on other shows, and Jill had one of these.
Yeah.
And I think hers was better.
Mm-hmm.
As such, I'm gonna say this one is a C. There's nothing original about it.
Yeah, I agree. It's functional, but not in that makes sense kind of way. Like for gameplay and whatever setting, it's functional, and that's about it. You're right. I feel like maybe there isn't much you could have done, but that doesn't stop it from being a C for me either. It's just not that particularly interesting. Jordan, you're nodding in agreement.
Yeah, pretty much the same. Like, it's cool seeing a remake-esque costume.
Yeah.
Like that same style and stuff, but it's just very derivative. And there's not much to say beyond that. So yeah, C as well.
Is it at least better than what was it? Blue Bomber, Chris? PC costume?
Well, you never know. There might be a necktie buried somewhere deep in there. So
maybe so. All right, well, we'll put it there for now. Here's a really weird one, and I wanted to shout out VJolt for pulling the model out for this game, because looking this up, all I could find was terrible tiny 140p screenshots and stuff like this, because it's a Darkside Chronicles costume, so you don't really see it unless your partner character is kind of like stepping into frame to
or it's like the
kick a
result
zombie
screen
or something like that. Yes, so there isn't really much that you get to see of, unfortunately. What is also referred to as Western or Sheriff Chris, which is a theme through Darkside Chronicles. Everybody's got kind of like a cowboyish kind of costume. This one I actually think I like the best. Burger, how do you feel about Sheriff Redfield?
I am a fan. I'm here for it. I read this as Doc Holliday Redfield.
Yes. I have the same sort of... It's got a bit of an Undertaker kind of vibe to me, like old Western Undertaker.
Yeah. I like the belts. He has a tie.
Yeah, okay, fair.
Period appropriate.
Not mustard yellow.
In terms of the suit jackets, the suits that are available, I like it. I like it more than most of the other suit costumes.
Yeah, when we talk about fun costumes as well, this is the kind of just sort of silly fun costume that I'm okay with. It doesn't go too out there for me. Jordan, how do you feel about Sheriff Redfield?
It's smooth. I really like this. I kind of wish that Chris had more suave costumes like that.
Yes.
We usually go to Leon. Like Leon gets loads of costumes like this, so it's very cool, and it was very surprising to see that Chris had a costume like this. Lee Van Cleef would be very proud. It is a nice fit, and yeah, it surprisingly works well for Chris. You couldn't imagine RE5 Chris dressed like this, but still, it works for the period of Dark Side Chronicles.
Yes, indeed. In that case, where are you feeling in terms of Valletta? Because I am sort of floating around high B to maybe even slightly higher. I genuinely was so surprised. I didn't know this existed, I don't think, until we put this together. And I was just like, wow, it's really nice to see something new. So maybe that biased me a little bit.
Give it an A.
But it is, as you say, it's really cool and suave. A it is. Is it better than Ninja, Chris? I think it might be.
Yeah.
Cowboys versus ninjas.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah, it's higher.
It's a tough one. Like they're very
It's
close
not higher
to one
than the
another.
next one though. So.
No, that's probably fair. Something so weird about that. Okay, cool. Let's move on to our next game, one that has many costumes indeed, and an iconic look for Chris with Resident Evil 5. We'll start with the default costume. Yeah, I think we all, we talked about, when I think of Chris Redfield, I think of the STARS outfit. This is the silver medal on that, and probably some people's gold medal. This is probably the most iconic, one of the most iconic Chris Redfield appearances of all time, obviously helped by Resident Evil 5 being such a big deal when it came out. Jordan, how do you feel about default Resi 5?
It's a weird one because it's such a distinct outfit, even though it's not one of my favorites. Like it is, yeah, it's one of those sort of like images that sticks in my mind about Chris Redfield, even though I think at this point that was sort of like a break-off point for when Chris Redfield changed quite dramatically.
Yeah.
And would continue to change quite dramatically, from that point on. But it's got I quite like it because even though obviously it's more military sort of focused, and we'll see a lot of that, in future titles, I feel like this one's got a good balance. It's got a good balance of, fashion, function, and biceps. So it all works really well. It's quite a clean style. Yeah, so it's if you're not so keen on the military kind of stuff, it's one of the least offensive ones, just because it's quite streamlined, and it's still Chris. Like, you can still say, oh yeah, that's Chris. He's he's been working, but it's Chris.
Yeah, I like the. This is going to sound like I'm horny posting on main. I like the exposed arms, to be honest, and like obviously it fits with the setting as well where he is. When you look at some of the military stuff where he's just all clad basically in camo, it's kind of dull. This is interesting. It's in keeping with the setting. It just fashion. He looks good. It's like form fitting. It's really interesting and a really obviously a very odd and quite a big departure from what we'd have up until this point. But I think in terms of a costume, they found something that really, really works. I wonder how much time they spent into, we're reinventing Chris Redfield a little bit here. We're giving him a bunch of muscle. Like, how many characters drafts must they have gone through before they landed on this? Because I feel like it must have taken a lot of work, because they've struck gold with this one, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of, all kind of aspects. I don't know if it's going to rank super high, but it's a certain success in various different angles. Bergs, how do you feel about RE5, Chris?
I play a lot of RE5, so I spent a lot of time looking at Chris's ass. And it does look nice in this outfit as well. So if we're going to keep thirst posting, then that's going to be my contribution to it. I like this outfit. It is just as many people's like iconic Chris outfit as the other one is. Resident Evil 5 sold like hotcakes.
Yep.
It fits his color palette a bit. The shirt was green. Mm-hmm. It was the right shade of green.
Yeah.
He had his knife. Granted, it was on his back, but a lot of the iconic Chris stuff was there. It looks like Chris. The fact that it spawned a meme that is still used today. Boulder punching is because of this, Chris, and this outfit. I do appreciate its utility. I remember thinking, like, why is he wearing knee pads? Like such utilitarian ones too, because those look hefty.
Looks like it's gonna fit a carpet.
Right? But then, like, I'm in my 30s now, and I get it. Just get like, I get it.
Take care of those knees.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I ever doubted you, Chris. I'm gonna give you a B.
A B. That's okay. I'm actually.
I gave it an A, a low A.
Okay, I really like. The more that I talk about this, I'm like, man, it's so good. It deserves to be at the top. I don't think that's probably true. I think I'm overhyping it myself. So low A, you give it a B. This is a really tough one. I think it felt like it's better than the sheriff.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. You can move it up. I'll give it an A.
I think that, I mean, like, when you look at what it's up against, it's kind of like, it's a bit unfair to put it below Ninja Chris. Come on, let's face it.
I'd put it above the bonus outfit. At the very least, it's an original. It should go behind the original.
Jordan, how do you feel about shoulder pads versus biceps? Well,
you know what? It probably could go up a space more, but I'm not fussed if it stays where it is.
okay. In that case, let's go for it. Okay, let's continue with RE5, and we always make fun of the Hound Wolf squad for being a squad of soldiers with many goggles. This is Chris Redfield with many pockets. Bergs, how do you feel about the Lost in Nightmares version of Chris Redfield, which appears in Remake as well in the HD remaster?
He certainly is prepared for all
nightmares.
all nightmares. When this appeared in other games, did it also did they scale down his?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think so. No. His character model literally goes from like remake Chris to RE5 Chris. Like it has the face and everything. I think.
Little like clips every wall because
yeah, he just like can't go through the door. Yeah.
That's actually really it's a funny Easter egg. Ultimately speaking, this is one of our first main military Chris's. He's definitely prepared. That vest looks impractical. Like, I can't imagine trying to aim a weapon while wearing a vest like that. I don't like it. I leave it where it is.
I'm a sort of like, I see some certain appeals in terms of the military stuff. Again, we're still sort of in the region where it's kind of okay. We've got the exposed biceps again, so it's that aside, it's in keeping with RE5 in that way. It is a bit more mission prepped. Like, they're literally going to hopefully face down Spencer after all this time, so he should look prepared. But what's really funny is, and this is not the fault of the original costume design, but when it comes to Remake, I just assume all these pockets are glued shut because his inventory doesn't suddenly like triple, does it? And he's got like all these additional pockets. Like, what are they, full of gummy worms? What's going on here? Like, what's the point of these things? So it's cool, but I don't know if it's going to rank high for me. Jordan, how do you feel about many pocket Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because you would just think that the whole outfit is just that. It's almost like if you squint and you look past all the pockets and straps, there is a Chris Redfield in there. It's like just hiding
under pockets, yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird one because it's sort of like, I remember when I first saw this Chris Redfield design for Lost in Nightmares, and I quite liked it. I almost felt it like it was almost like kind of going back to the roots a little bit. That doesn't make any sense now, sort of looking at it, because it just feels way more in the direction of the military style that sort of, the Chris character would continue to evolve into in subsequent entries. But I don't know. There's a little bit to it that I like, but yeah, doesn't look very practical for the kind of way that you play as Chris. I gave it a B. But it would be a low B.
Yeah.
I feel like there are worse outfits out there that can go below it. So
Agreed.
Yeah, I would give it a low B.
I'm actually kind of happy where it is for now, but I also wouldn't be surprised to see it potentially move around at the end. Bergs, where in terms of placement will you think?
I'm fine where it is. Like,
okay.
It may go lower. I may argue that later.
Okay. I look forward to that. Let's stay with Resident Evil 5 and what is called the Safari costume, with Chris in his rather fetching zebra print and pink undershirt and giant machete, judging by the character render there for some reason. Bergs, how do you feel about, I don't know, Zoolander, Chris?
I hate it.
Same.
D. My only comment is that I hate it so much. I hate novelty outfits, y'all. I'm a Friday Duddy. I hate Resident Evil. I no fun for me in my survival horror.
Honestly, this is what I was saying about, Sheriff Chris versus Safari Chris. This is a step too far for me as well. I don't know if I go as low as D, but it looks like a Street Fighter costume. I don't get it. And it doesn't look like they put that much time into thinking about it either. Like, it's just like, here's a spare costume idea we had lying around. Jordan, how do you feel about Safari Chris?
I'm giving this an A. It's super funky. I love this kind of stuff. Like, I don't know which Yakuza boss fight this outfit came from, but I'm very grateful.
You're playing to Berg's weaknesses there by saying that.
For what it's worth, I'm going to say this, because obviously we have had to kind of like condense down the Chris outfits to a certain degree, and there are certain sort of elements that kind of overlap. Some outfits are a little bit too similar to one another, or maybe they're kind of like repurposed in the game. This is obviously very similar to the Safari outfit, the sort of like the olive outfit that you have at the very beginning, isn't it? Like when you're sort of like you're walking through, or am I misremembering that from RE5? But he does have sort of like a similar kind of short sleeve.
Oh yeah,
like
yes, good point.
So it kind of feels like a recolor of that, which I thought was a very nice outfit. And this is very funky. So it's kind of like you do get it in two different flavors. If you do actually like the idea of the outfit, just not necessarily the zebra print. So, I give it an A. I'd even give it a high A. In fact, I'd give it an S if it helps it to sort of like average up. Because, kind of sitting there in the CD territory before I come in.
Yeah, easily for me, bottom of C. So, how are we going to make it? That is quite a vast breadth of opinion.
If it's
going to end up sort of sitting in more or less where it is, isn't
probably,
it?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. That's where everything goes that we don't want to talk about right now.
Arguing time yet.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's quite boring to do it again, but like, I'm fine with that. I would maybe put it top of C, but I can put it bottom of B for now. And we'll certainly talk about it later. The next Resident Evil 5 outfit is called Warrior. It's very clearly a Mad Max inspired outfit. Bergs, how do you feel about this novelty costume? Is this erring on the side of good, or better at least?
No, sorry, it's not.
Beautiful.
I don't need nipples in my Resident Evil either.
Too bad you got them.
That's true. It's true. I have them now.
Yep.
Now we know what Chris's nipples look like. In terms of this, it is very obviously it's a wonderful Mad Max. I'd be happier if he were Mad Max and not some random character from Mad Max. Give him the leather jacket with the stuff on it. Like
that could be cool. Yeah.
Ultimately speaking, same deal as the last novelty outfit. I'm gonna put this bottom of D.
Wow, I actually like this one a lot better. Like, it feels way more like it suits Chris, especially in RE5. Even before everyone sort of like onto the meme of punching boulders, they kind of knowingly they knew what they did with this Chris. So, like, we made him a muscle-bound god. Yeah, let's just put him in a bunch of Mad Max leftover costume parts. Like, it totally fits. In terms of a silly outfit, I'm actually okay with this one. Like, this is a good fun one to put on in Mercs for me, so this is a lot better than Safari to me. Jordan, how do you feel about this one?
I gave it an S. Somehow this feels like one of the most Chris Redfield outfits of the list, and I won't elaborate on that. I can't elaborate on that.
You just feel it here.
Exactly.
You know what, though? You're not wrong. Like, I'm tempted to go in A, at least. It's, in terms of unlockable outfits, it's good.
I am going to elaborate now on it. I feel like this is how Chris sees himself.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
cool guy sunglasses. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love the Road Warrior.
Yeah. This is Chris's idea of cool.
All right,
So-
I'll go up from D. I'll give it a B, so it averages out to an A.
Okay. So, in terms of an A,
It goes below suit.
it goes.
Sheriff fan.
I'm okay with that.
What a trio that is. Cowboy, Ninja, and Warrior.
Right there. Right there. Well, it's about to, even, well, maybe not even weirder, but as weird, with the heavy metal costume, the last Resident Evil 5 costume we've got. This one's just, I mean, yeah, it's along a similar vein. Like, it's logically, I can see why. He looks a bit like he stepped out of Warhammer or something to me. Jordan, how do you feel about armor-plated Chris Redfield?
Well, I feel like he sort of stepped out of Aliens and has lost his helmet.
Yeah, fair. No, that's fair.
It's very Colonial Marines vibes. I like it. It's weird. I shouldn't like it that much because it's not like it's that striking. It's actually kind of bland in sort of the colors. But I gave it an A. Just because I thought, again, it's another one of those kind of like it's a fun outfit and it's a Chris outfit. Like, yeah. Chris would clean house in Aliens. He would uppercut every single xenomorph in both mouths.
The weird one about this for me is the fact that his arms are covered in tattoos for some reason. I'm like, that's very odd. It feels a bit like. When did Gears of War 1 come out? It must have been out by 2009. So.
Yeah, 2000. Was it like
7?
2005 or 2006? I think.
Yeah, something around that. Feels almost like maybe a nod or a wink to that, perhaps, in a way, or at least along kind of the audience that game was appealing to.
Jordan was correct.
I'm okay with it, but I'll put it above Safari. I don't know if I go any higher. That's where in terms of what we've got right now. Bergs, I almost hate to ask, how do you feel about heavy metal, Chris?
I actually like this one.
Okay.
No, it does look practical. A well-known fan of the Colonial Marines as a concept. That was my initial. That's Hicks.
Yeah.
And I like it. I'm with Jordan.
Okay, all right, that's
Yeah.
fine. I'm actually happy to be outvoted on this because I like that you've found a goofy costume that you kind of like. So whereabouts then, Bergs? I'm going to put the ball in your court first. Where would you put it?
I'll say it goes above shoulder pads.
Wow, all the way up in A.
Yeah. Oh, that's where I thought we were gonna put it.
I mean, yeah, it looks like it's going that way. I've been tremendously outvoted. And that's okay. That's part of the game.
Shoulder pads, they're like superseded by even bigger shoulder pads.
Yeah, that's what it takes. Have we got any bigger shoulder pads coming? No? Okay, I think we're sorted. We're fine. Okay, so let's move on to Resident Evil Revelations. This is the default costume for when Chris goes to Finland with Jessica. Insert Waylon Smithers. He's got a new hat here. It's okay. I like this one a little bit more than the Umbrella's End winter stuff. Like, we've got the kind of camo design going on here. I liked that. Well, actually, I was going to say I like that they retained the face model over, but I can't really say that because they did with that with Umbrella's End with Remake Chris as well. But it was nice to see all that come forward and to see this version of Chris Redfield in a new setting and a costume that suited it. It's not incredible. The boots look nice. It's fine. Bergs, how do you feel about Finland, Chris?
In terms of winter Chris outfits, I like this way more than the last one. By like a lot. It does feature some of his iconics. He's got his belt pouch with his clips. He's got his harness on. I don't much care for his pouty face. He's doing blue steel at me. I do like his boots. Overall, this outfit doesn't make me upset. It doesn't make me upset. It also doesn't spark joy.
Right, that's fair. Yeah.
It's just,
Just there.
he's Chris.
Yeah. Nice touch on this one as well. He gets he's got sort of whiskers and stuff, and there's ice frozen into his facial hair a little bit, which I always thought was really cool. Nice little touch, really cool. That wasn't meant to be a pun, but there you go. Jordan, how do you feel about Woolly Hat Chris? As a woolly hat man yourself right now.
Yes. That doesn't change anything. This is just, I don't know, it's just a bit boring. It's functionally balanced. It's not like Chris is, walking around in a, utility, just being. I don't know. It's not like he's a pocket monster. But it is kind of just, I don't know, it's just very milquetoast for me.
Right.
So I gave it a D.
Wow, okay. I would put it, I think, is it fair then maybe top of C? Because Bergs, you and I are at least in agreement that it's better than the other Winter Chris.
Yep. I'll put it in, I'll say C as well. But I want the other Winter Chris down in D. Because you just see the comparison right next to each other.
The negotiating here.
Yeah, this is how they play this game. I could put that top of D. It's boring. Umbrella's End Chris is just kind of dull. At least with the stupid mustard tie, it gave us a laugh. We were trying to guess what kind of jacket it is.
I mean, I'm happy to go along with any of this because let's be honest, those ones in C and D, they're not any precious outfits to us right now.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, so there's another Revelations costume. I believe this is worn throughout the campaign, but it's also usable in Mercenaries, where it's called the Diver outfit, which is Chris on the SS Zenobia and all that stuff. SS Zenobia, Queen Zenobia, and all that stuff. Jordan, how do you feel about wetsuit Chris? It's not even a wetsuit, is it? I don't know why I said that.
It's got all the things I don't like. It's got straps, it's got pockets, it's got the color scheme of half the aisles in a Sports Direct. It's low C, probably a D. Arf.
Yeah, it's not great. I like the sort of tactical headgear thing. It's quite interesting, but you're right. In terms of the outfit, it is just the most generic action game man, literally action man, in fact. Doesn't say Chris Redfield to me at all, other than the fact that we recognise the face model. Bergs, how do you feel about Diver?
Oh, I also don't like this one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that this outfit, again, I don't like the vest. It just looks too bulky.
Yeah, very cumbersome. Lots of pockets again.
Too many pockets. This doesn't see this. If not for the respirator or the rebreather on his I wouldn't see this as a diver outfit either. D.
Maybe top of D or low or bottom of C is kind of fine by me. It is just very dull. Is there a definable difference in the dullness between this and Umbrella's End? Probably not, to be honest. Much of a muchness. So you're also going in D. Oh god, things are taking a turn for the worse now, aren't they, at this point in the series? But never fear, we have Sailor Chris next to talk about, which I already did shout out Steven in this episode, but he said justice for Sailor Chris. So obviously, make your claims if you can to rank this one highly. Actually, Bergs, I'm fairly certain I know how you feel about this. I'm going to go to Jordan first.
Look, in some respects, Resident Evil Revelations is a horny game.
It is.
I appreciate when it's honest about it, and right here is Revelations being honest about its horniness. So yeah, sure. Ahoy, Chris. I'd give it an A.
Amazing. Yeah, it's equal opportunities, I guess. That is genuinely just a stripper outfit. The white gloves, the Ray-Bans. He's got an anchor tattoo, for goodness sake. It's utterly ridiculous.
Showing the full-size render as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
With the monster as well, and the very provocative pose. I mean,
I kind of love it because of just how dumb it is. Bergs, how do you feel about Sailor Chris?
So, I'm going to surprise you both here. I kind of love this.
Yes.
Let me explain why.
Okay.
Why I love this one more and why I hate the other one so much is if we're talking, because the argument is always it's a Halloween costume, right? And I can't see Jill wearing that Halloween costume. I can definitely see Chris wearing this to a Halloween party.
Yes.
And owning it just as much as he does here. Like, I stand Daddy Chris.
This is the kind of thing that he thinks will spice up his love life with his girlfriend. Like he wears this costume that's like, this is the biggest size they have, and it still doesn't fit him because he's a muscle-bound god. There's a proper sense of humor in this one. So I appreciate this. This is an A. It's just a matter of where we put it in terms of an A. Jordan, what do you think in terms of that stack? Would it go for you?
Ooh. Yeah, it's a tough one to. He ain't got no shoulder pads.
He certainly doesn't.
Honestly, it's a real sort of like hard lineup in A now.
It is getting tough. I like it
lower A.
Right, I like it better than heavy metal. That's my problem. But there's some other ones lower down that I like better.
I'll put it above heavy metal.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. It is now the 4th highest Chris Redfield outfit on the tier. And who says we don't take this seriously? Okay, we have another bit of an oddball one in a different kind of way. This is an exclusive outfit for Resident Evil: The Mercenaries 3D for the 3DS. It's an interesting one indeed because it only appears in that game. It is the pilot outfit, which I guess it's a nice nod back to Chris's original history, and that kind of thing is nice, but it is suffering with the same complaint that we have about several of the outfits we just talked about, and several more to come, I can guarantee. Is just kind of boring. I like the slightly different colour of the pants, but other than that, there's just not a lot going on here for me. Bergs, how do you feel about pilot?
I hate it for the same reasons I hate the last ones. There's just nothing here that's interesting. If I didn't recognize his face, I wouldn't see Chris Redfield. I don't. There's nothing here for me. Why would I pick this outfit when there's other ones that are better in the game?
Right, for sure. I feel like, and maybe I'm making an unfair complaint, but if they're going to have a pilot outfit, they should have really lent into it and given him like the flight hat and all this, and goggles or something. Just make it silly and characterful. This is literally just for the Mercenaries game. It feels like they could have done so much more. Jordan, how do you feel about pilot?
Well, so I began this by sort of describing it as interesting. Sort of like a liberal use of that word.
Yeah.
It really is. It is very bland. And it's a bit of a sort of a waste of resources. You can really kind of just go out there if you are going for sort of a pilot outfit, just something, usually, pilot characters in games and movies and TV shows often kind of like to give themselves a bit of personality, actually, with their helmets and their outfits and stuff like that. Just something to kind of like, sort of denote them a bit more. And then they just kind of went with, this is really run of the mill, just sort of like, first week in flight school kind of.
Yeah.
You don't get anything yet, Chris. I also kind of noticed, I can't really quite tell, but it kind of looks like Chris is wearing some kind of like chaps.
Sort of, like,
yeah. It's kind of, I don't really know what's going on there, but that kind of sticks out with the weird little sort of like standout green crotch. But well, there you go. It's a green crotch. It's like, oh, that's Chris, all right. Other than that, this is a low C, maybe a D. Stay in the chopper, Chris.
Yeah, I mean it's a D for me because it's definitely less interesting than Diver. So I would put it about there. Bergs, have you got any advancements on taking that lower, higher?
I'm fine with where it is.
Okay, cool. Okay, so now we jump to the next game in the series, Resident Evil 6. This is Chris at perhaps peak military, of course, in the game and in the outfit in itself. I hate this one. Jordan, how do you feel about it?
Genuinely, I think Call of Duty has had better designed characters.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I'm not even talking about the main characters. I'm talking like maybe like 4th, 5th rung of the cast. It's just like really generic. I feel like Capcom were really going into a sort of a territory which they maybe didn't necessarily know too much about when it came to sort of like Resident Evil. They've certainly done better designs, so they can certainly add personality. This, I think they were maybe kind of like going in a certain direction in a possible sort of trend chasing for sort of Chris. It's sort of like he's going to be the sort of the military shooter guy, so naturally make him look like a military shooter guy. They've overdone it. They've made him 150% military shooter guy, and it just doesn't work. So yeah, just really nondescript, and they've sucked all the Chris Redfield out of it, and I give it a D.
For sure. Yeah, it's, you mentioned Call of Duty, but I'm pretty sure that was the genuine inspiration, because they've said that about the game themselves, that's kind of the market share they were after. And in terms of all the different campaigns in that game, Chris's is the most action heavy, so clearly that's the one that they were like, this is for the Call of Duty players, so yeah, let's just dress him in generic soldier garb. This, you talked about grunt. Yeah, he just looks like any old soldier to me. You're right. No Chris Redfield in this. Bergs, is this a D?
Absolutely. Without question.
All right. Nice and succinct. I like it. Bottom of the list.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, fine. That's fine. Do you know what? I'm okay with that. Okay, so now we have the Resident Evil 6 unlockable outfits. We actually have two that are basically the same, so I guess we could talk about them at the same time, unless anyone has any particular preference about the colour choice of EX1 and EX2, which is Chris in this kind of like robe thing. I don't know, it's just an odd one. Bergs, how do you feel about this?
I like Samurai Chris. Not a lot.
But some.
I like him more than Samurai Kiryu. What's up with his arm? Is there like in the game? Is there like actual discoloration there?
No, I think it's
yes.
just a.
Yeah. It's like a big like Yakuza sort of like back tattoo.
Oh. Okay.
Oh, I see. Yes, I see what you're saying. Yes, he does have a big. Yeah. I mean, that's cool. I guess.
Yeah, I will say I'll probably put him in C, the blue one above the red one, because I like blue better.
Okay, fine by me. That's probably about right for me as well, maybe. I mean, there's some stuff in B that I don't necessarily agree with. Specifically, I'm talking about Safari Chris. But, yeah, sort of, it's okay, I guess. Jordan, how do you feel about these ones?
Gets a cheap pop from me because, it's Chris as a sort of Ronin, and I quite like the idea of that.
Makes sense.
I think it works quite well for Chris. It's a weird one because it's sort of like I gave it a B, but it is sort of like really low B. Like I almost gave it C at first, and I was kind of like, no, like it's got a certain sort of like novel factor in that, and the full outfit does look pretty cool, complete with the katana and everything like that. But yeah, I couldn't necessarily give it any higher than that. So yeah, blue one's great. Orange one's great. It's exactly the same, obviously. But this Chris shoots orange ink instead.
There's a reference. Jeez. Yeah. Okay. I'm all right with that for sure. And we've got one last RE6 outfit, which is an interesting one indeed, I guess. Which is EX3, which is the retro blocky stuff. I'm a bit of a sucker for this kind of thing. I hate that I am as well, because it's so nostalgia baity, but I love seeing polygonal characters plonked into fully HD modern games. There's just something joyful and hilarious about it to me. I like that they carried this kind of thing through into Remake 2. My dream Smash Brothers character is Lara Croft, just so that we could have a blocky polygonal outfit as well. Like I love this kind of stuff. So I like that this is in here. I don't know if it deserves a super amount of points, because it is just like, let's nostalgia bait and rehash an original idea. Jordan, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I gave the original outfit an S tier, so it was kind of weird then when I was sort of sitting down. I was like, I can only really give this a B, just because it is, just the imitation of that. And it's perfectly great as sort of like an unlockable outfit, but as an outfit design itself, there's not really anything to sort of like comment on. If I was maybe going to change something about it, I would just say just get weird with it. Do a Max Payne 3 where it's sort of like they try and imitate the actual original.
That would be so good.
It just looks ugly as sin because it just wasn't meant to be that way.
Put the box art face on. That's what you want.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, why haven't they done that yet?
Yeah,
Capcom, get on it! Come on now.
It's so obvious right there.
Yeah, but it's a solid B.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's good.
Bergs, how do you feel about this one?
I'm with you on a solid B. I am also a sucker for this kind of outfit. I love using them in Remake 2. I think the ones in Remake 2 are better.
Yeah, I think so.
Which makes sense because they were made after. I think B is a solid place for this one.
Okay, so in terms of whereabouts on B, I would probably move it maybe just one up for me, but any advance?
I'd put it above Safari Chris.
Yeah.
I'd even put it above like Pockets Chris.
Jordan, how do you feel? Keep going.
Yeah, I can go an extra step. Also, I just realized, sort of like looking at it, it's funny because it doesn't necessarily look like a PS1 model, or at least how I would sort of see the PS1 model. It almost looks like if Chris Redfield had showed up in like an early Virtua Fighter or something like that.
Yes, it really does.
Super polygonal.
Yeah, that's fair. It's not really like a PS1 model, is it, particularly? But
I think maybe it's down to the shading.
They have to rig it to what they've got and that kind of stuff, so it is what it is. Okay, so we have one from the CGI films here, Resident Evil Vendetta and Death Island. Chris basically wears the same outfit in both for the majority of those CGI productions. So here we have another military Chris, and I'm learning something about myself while we record this because I like this one better, and it might be because he's got his arms out again. Why is that a thing? Bergs, how do you feel about this?
Just like all the other military ones, I don't like it. It's again wrong shade of green. If we're gonna use green as a grounding color for Chris. I don't like his boots. I don't like how many pads or straps or like again the vest with all of the clips. It just doesn't. I just don't see Chris actually wearing any of this. I don't like it. I don't like it, Si.
Yeah, this one at least is because of the top and stuff like that. Jokes aside, like I like this one, I think, because it reminds me of RE5 Chris as opposed to some of the other ones. Like you're right, the colour's wrong. And I always found the face model for this one to be a little odd. I've grown to like it more over the years. I do have a soft spot for this as well, because it was nice to, in a way, for Capcom to bring it forward. Where, however I felt about it, it's nice for them to actually like continue to reuse stuff in a way that makes things feel consistent, not just for reuse sake. It's like this is a sequel to Death Island, so we are going to carry this across, and you can watch one fluidly into the next. It's still not incredible though. Jordan, how do you feel about this one?
Yeah, I like this one a little bit more. Obviously, in relation to all of the other sort of more military-esque outfits. And yeah, it's because there's a little bit more of Chris coming through, and not just with the arms, but that definitely helps. I think it just sort of helps to kind of personalize his outfit a little bit more. It's not too heavy, even though there is quite a lot still that is attached to his outfit. There's a little bit more color. Yeah, just in general, this kind of comes off more Chris, which is kind of funny because it's sort of like it's one of sort of like the faces of Chris that I recognize the least. This is that period of time where Chris Redfield's face was changing more than the T-1000, sort of all over the place.
Yeah.
But compared to, especially after ranking the Resident Evil 6 Chris, I look at this and I say, well, it's at least better than that. So I gave it a C.
Yeah, I'm okay with the C. It's kind of tough exactly to think where it would go. I would probably put it above the PC outfit for me.
Yeah, that looks right.
Yeah? Alright, let's go with that. We've only got 3 left. Speaking of Chris face changes, this one's going to be quite hard. Well, maybe it's not going to be hard to rank, but this is a weird one to compare to others because it is the unique time we have Chris with his RE7 face, and yes, his singular outfit from the end of that game and the No More Heroes DLC, or Not a Hero DLC, sorry, I should say. Bergs, how do you feel about RE7, Chris? Big question, I know.
I again, just like every other like super heavy mil spec Chris, I hate this one. I probably like this one the least.
Yeah.
It is black. Like what the fuck?
It's alright, you're all good. This one's only on YouTube, so you can swear.
So like, what the fuck is up with these gloves? Like,
yeah,
are they? Like,
yeah.
There's so many pockets. There's
motorbike
so many
gloves.
straps. What's up with his face?
What's up with all of it, basically? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
D.
Yeah, I'm also not a fan because, yeah, it's bad enough that they changed the face, and I sort of understand why they were like, right, we're going to try and we're soft rebooting the franchise, we're going for photogrammetry, so we wanted to scan a new guy in, we're trying to ground it a little bit, but they didn't try and to do anything that made you go, this is definitely Chris. In fact, when this character was revealed and the helmet came off, everyone was like, that's not Chris, it's someone pretending to be Chris. He only said Redfield, so it's not Chris Redfield, it's someone else Redfield. People were like, this is Hunk in disguise. All kinds of crazy theories because they made no effort to tell you that, no, this is definitely Chris Redfield. Sorry, we've just changed the face. There is no Chris in this for me. And as time has gone on from RE7, it just remains like this weird little moment in Resident Evil history. Jordan, where would you rank RE7, Chris?
Oh yeah, this is straight into D.
Yep.
It's just, this isn't Chris Redfield. This is just plain old Chris. This could be any Chris, and it's weird because it's kind of strange because I've always been a little bit sort of like critical of the CG movies because very often they sort of change the faces and maybe go off model from the games.
Yeah.
Although in the more recent films they've actually sort of tried to stray back towards the games in the terms of sort of the actual faces. But it's weird. This one actually looks like sort of more unrecognizable than the CG Chris's.
Yeah, for sure.
I know we're not necessarily judging faces. I mean, I'm judging faces right now, but still. It just doesn't necessarily sort of ring as, oh yeah, that's Chris Redfield, and I wouldn't sort of necessarily have wanted this to continue to be the model that they went with.
Mm-hmm.
And, clearly, obviously, Capcom thought the same. So yeah, very very sort of forgettable. It should be kind of like a big kind of moment when it's sort of like revealed. There's Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 7, but it is really kind of like. Undermined by the new design. And as you say, there was a method. It didn't necessarily work. It's kind of like with Metal Gear Solid 5 when they needed to sort of like update the sort of the graphics for Big Boss, but they knew that such a recognizable face for Big Boss had to kind of remain. So they found a kind of like a good sort of balance between that. Whereas in this instance, they've went with an entirely sort of like different face and tried to sort of start fresh, and that's hard to do when you're sort of 7 mainline titles in. So,
yeah, it's going to be one of those weird things in Resident Evil history now, where it has been oddly kind of celebrated in a strange way by being an RE verse as like an unlockable thing. Like, oh, do you remember Weirdo Chris? That was odd, wasn't it? And that's probably all that it's going to amount to in the future. Remember when Chris had a weird face for one game? Because the next game we're going to talk about, which again also has one costume. The jacket does come off at one point, and Chris like straps a bunch of like grenades to him, but it's essentially the same thing. This is Resident Evil Village Chris, obviously with the face, which is part of we are ranking outfits, but it does come. That's part of it, really. This is way closer. This is like, they said it's meant to be a combination of the two, and maybe I can see that, but it's definitely closer to the Chris that we are familiar with. And the outfit, some people quite rightfully recognise, whether it was intentional or not, feels like a reference to something that Wesker wore in Umbrella Chronicles with the turtleneck and the big black coat. But it is just a turtleneck and a big black coat. Is it that interesting, Bergs?
No. Interesting. I also didn't like Chris from this game.
Yeah, he's kind of an ass.
He's kind of an ass. And I don't know that we're allowed to take, our personal feelings about the character itself and how they're represented in the game into account here.
Depends if they wore it,
He did come off like an evil mastermind or a Bond villain.
Hmm.
Not even a Bond villain, like an odd job type character in a Bond movie. But I also don't hate it. It's practical. It looks fashionable. It looks like what Chris would wear in his late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah, they're doing a covert sort of mission thing. It sort of works. It's his own squad, so he might not be kitted out in all the most military stuff. I'm kind of okay with it as well. Like, it's weirdly memorable considering the game's only a few years old. Like, that sort of shot that was in all the marketing of him standing in the hallway and all the light coming through from outside and his outfits. maybe it's because of after RE7 and we were all so weirded out by where they were taking Chris that we were all kind of like, oh my god, that looks way more like it. The face is right, at least. That I have a soft spot for it, but it's okay. Jordan, how do you feel about this one?
It is an outfit that screams it's 1996, and I've just filmed the final music video with my band Take That.
Is that a thing? Okay.
It's a deep cut reference. But it really does sort of look like, he's just kind of come off Back for Good, the music video, with his, big heavy jacket, and it looks like he might have just been singing in the rain or something like that. I actually quite like this outfit. I gave it an A, because, I don't know, it felt sort of more Chris, even though in other ways it kind of felt like, ooh, we're kind of going in a slightly different direction. But I dig it. And, since we're talking about sort of like, the face models, yes, this was better. Although when I saw like the very first sort of like images of Chris from Village, I thought they modeled him off Finn Balor.
I can see that.
Like that.
I can see that.
But yeah, I dig it. Even if it's not 100% Chris style, I don't know, it's neat. It kind of would be better as a bonus outfit, to be quite honest, than sort of like a mainline lore outfit, but I kind of want more of this.
I actually would put it high as well, and it's hard to justify the reasoning for that. I think it's good. I think it's a nice pivot away at this point in the history and the role that he plays in that game. Like, he's not the main character, and he's somewhere down the pecking order, considering it's all of the Winters family, and you've got the vampire ladies and all the other crazies you've got to deal with. Chris is not that big a part of the game until you get to the end, so it's okay for him to change it up a little bit. It kind of fits nicely into the story by being a little bit different. So I'm also inclined to maybe go bottom of A or something. Bergs, where would you put this one?
I'm probably at the bottom of A.
Oh, nice.
I think it behind ninjas.
Behind ninjas. You don't want to be behind ninjas. Okay, we've got one last one as a bit of fun at the end, from recent CGI flick, Death Island. Casual Chris, or Hawaiian shirt Chris, or whatever you want to call it. I feel like if we didn't put this in here, Choji would be very mad, because he's a fan of this ridiculous t-shirt, or ridiculous shirt, I guess I should say. Bergs, how do you feel about a holiday Chris?
I love the tiger print on this shirt. I will say that if I were the kind of person to wear a silk shirt, this would be the silk shirt I would wear.
Yeah, you can probably find this somewhere on the internet.
Thankfully, I'm not that person. This is a Chris that, like, if I were on vacation, if we were on holiday together at like a resort, and I saw this Chris at like the bar, I would sit down next to him and try to start a conversation. He looks like he's ready to have fun.
Yeah, I like that this is his idea of just sort of like blending in. This is when they all go to the prison and just sort of like, we can just go check it out. And they all make fairly useless attempts at dressing slightly differently to how they usually do. Chris probably makes the most amount of effort by actually putting a shirt on her. It's like, I actually kind of appreciate that. He's kind of a doofus.
End up having their colours though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that about it as well. It's kind of a doofy dad thing, but yeah, I have a bit of a soft spot for this, because it's just silly. Jordan, how do you feel about it?
I like this. This feels very authentically Chris casual. This is Chris's idea of sort of really letting his hair down and going wild and saying, hey, check me out, I haven't buttoned up this shirt. It's a real kind of I'm really taking this Sunday nice and easy. But it works. There's not much more to say beyond that. It works. So I gave it an A.
Ooh, I don't know if I can go that high with it. I feel like it's probably okay. Maybe where it is.
Maybe a little higher on B.
Maybe a little higher on B. I could probably.
Sorry.
Do you know what, Bergs? I hate Safari Chris, so I'm happy to put it there at the very least. So.
One more over.
Well, but I kind of Jordan, break the tie. How do you feel?
Sure, but get it a little bit close to Virtua Fighter, Chris.
Okay.
There we go.
That's all the outfits. Now comes for the fun part where we go from the bottom to the top and really get these things into their rightful place. So, starting at the bottom of the pile, RE7 Chris. Is this the worst outfit on the board? I think we're all in unanimous agreement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So, so that being said, I'll just skip forward. RE6 Chris. Is it better than Sega Saturn Chris? Sega Saturn Chris is muddy and boring, but it's less boring to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine where that one's at, if only because it kind of reminds me of Leon's outfit.
Which is, I guess this port was out before RE2, but retroactively, sure, whatever works. Whatever works to keep RE6 down the bottom, that's fine. Sega Saturn Chris, is it better than the Mexican Brad Pitt Chris? No, I'd still take that.
Yeah.
I'd still take that.
That one's fine where it's at.
Brad Pitt Chris, is it better than Umbrella's End Winter Chris?
I kind of want to say just because
I hate
slightly
that
different
outfit a lot.
color, but it's not a good outfit.
It's just
No.
it's not like I don't think I've ever put that outfit on and for a second. Like I've never chosen to wear a casual Chris outfit, so I don't think that it deserves to be moved any higher than where it is.
If you actually put it on Chris, there's a unique animation when the game starts. He looks at himself and goes, "Ugh."
Umbrella's End Chris, is it better than Mercenaries Pilot Chris? Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Umbrella's End Chris, is it better than Diver Chris? I'm actually fine with that. Okay. Diver Chris, is it better than PC Unlockable Outfit Mustard Tie Chris?
No.
There's enough of a difference there to separate the tiers as well, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice and easy. Okay. Mustard Tie Chris, is he better than Death Island / Vendetta Chris? Ooh.
It's there's something a little bit different about it, at least.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. I'll take it. I like the...
I suddenly coming in clutch.
Give a shout out to some of the weirdo stuff. I'm happy to do that. Okay, Finland Revelations Chris. Sorry, PC Outfit Chris. Is it better than Finland Chris?
Yes. In my opinion, I don't like that Finland outfit at all.
Okay. In that case, Death Island and Vendetta Chris, is it better than the Woolly Hat Chris?
Yeah, I'd put. I'd put Finland Chris down again.
Okay, I'll keep going backwards. Diver Chris, is it better than Woolly Hat Chris?
I think we'll just leave it as is because I could probably do this 7 more times.
Yeah.
I'm fine with doing that, but maybe not for the runtime.
Okay, all right. In that case, Mustard Tie, is it better than the RE6 sort of samurai Yakuza duo?
Just for giggles, I kind of just want to put it in the middle. Just that there's a real difference between those two outfits.
Yeah, boo red. Ooh.
I'm with Jordan. Move it up one. I want to move it up one.
It's chaos. We've got to have some chaos.
Over red toga.
Okay. Blue toga. Is it better than Samurai? Not Sarah. Sorry, Safari Chris. Yeah, actually, I really don't like this zebra print nonsense. Jordan, how do you?
I'll just abstain. I've had my way with the Finland Chris, so you know.
Okay. In that case, does he fall all the way back behind all of this?
Whoa! Now, no, hold on a second.
No, we'll let him have the top of the category.
There's a secondary round of voting, and I want to be part of that.
So we said he's not as good as Blue Toga Chris.
This is chaotic. Yeah,
This is nonsense. Okay, are we all right with that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, it's fine. It's in C. That's what I wanted. Okay, so Blue Toga Chris, is it better than Lost in Nightmares Many Pockets? I'm gonna say no. I know I'm in the minority with that one, so
Yeah. for the sake of not beleaguering the point, I'll say no.
I kind of want to keep Chris of Many Pockets ahead of the samurai, but maybe bring it down to C.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Now we're cooking.
I'm not a fan of that, but sure. But he's got no sleeves. Come on, it's not Chris if he's got sleeves. Okay, right. That's what we've learned. Like, this got no sleeve, this has got no sleeve, this has got no sleeve, this has got no sleeve. Look, we've learned a pattern here. Why is this one so low?
Forearm is forewarned.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Hawaiian shirt, Chris. Is it better than, as you said, Jordan, Virtua Fighter, Chris?
Yeah, it's gotta be, I guess, because I'm only really liking the graphical style of Virtua Fighter, Chris. It's otherwise just, it is another outfit.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, same.
All right, sweet. That's a pleasant surprise. Hawaiian shirt, Chris. Is it better than Code Veronica, Chris? That's a strong no for me. Oh, I hate this game.
I feel like you could jump up. Maybe.
I might side with Jordan on this one.
Oh,
Sorry, I love you.
I had a feeling, Burks.
Oh man, poor Code Veronica, Chris. Hawaiian shirt, Chris. Is it better than Weird RE2, Chris?
I'm good on that.
I like novelty people's elbow, Chris.
Yeah, I like Zelda 64, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, RE2 battle mode, Chris. Is it better than the classic leather jacket? That is actually quite a strong no. I think this is a big difference for me.
Yeah.
I think the leather jacket's a lot better.
Like if there was like another sort of,
if there was an extra tier,
sort of, drop it down.
In fact,
no.
I mean, the argument then is does leather jacket go into A? Or are we okay with it in B?
No, you give it its own separate tier, and it alone just stays in one
8.5
jacket tier.
A minus. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, like, I mean, the ranking is fine. Yeah, ranking's fine.
But do we feel like it's enough of a difference to bring it up? Because I think
A is kind of stacked, though.
I have a feeling that some of those at the end are going to go up to S. Is that not fair?
No, I mean I was anticipating the solo S run on this.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe that's true.
If we have wiggle room here,
all right.
maybe.
Okay. Leather jacket, Chris. Is it better than evil villain jacket, Chris?
No.
Yeah, I think it's okay how it is. Village Chris better than Ninja Chris?
No.
No.
Okay. Ninja Chris better than Mad Max Chris? Yeah. No, for me.
Oh, the tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker time.
I want to keep Wario where it is.
Okay. That's
Okay.
fair.
Yes, Warrior Chris. Is it better than Sheriff Chris? I really like Sheriff Chris, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah, Sheriff Chris. Well, the Sheriff Chris sounds like such a dumb name.
Sorry, Sheriff Redfield. Is that better?
Yes, that's so much cooler.
It's like, genuinely is.
Sheriff Chris is going to
Is it better than shoulder pads, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm alright with that.
Yeah.
Underrated gem that he is. Okay, Sheriff Redfield, is he better than Heavy Metal Chris? Yes, for me. Or Colonial Marines Chris, I guess.
I'll give it to him. Yeah.
There he goes. Steamrolling his way to the
Keep
top.
the shoulder pads together.
Yeah, they can't separate these guys. Sheriff Redfield, is he better than Sailor Chris? I think no. I think that's as far as he probably gets.
I think he's as far as he goes. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks about right. Although, like, now they're starting to kind of form their own village people in the rankings together.
A rank is a very weird place to be right now. Sailor Chris, is it better than RE5 Chris? No, for me. These are all pretty, I think, straightforward. RE5 Chris, is it better than the original Chris?
No.
Yeah, it's close, but I still think the OG Bergs.
The Oog.
Okay, and the original, is it better than the remake? I think we started out the gate with it. We're fine with that where it is. So obviously, this is the point where I was going to say is then, do we think that there is enough of a difference between the remake Stars outfit and the original that it gets to stand alone in an entire tier by itself? Or does it need some company up there with the original Stars outfit and maybe RE5 Chris as well?
As tantalizing as it is for Oog to be one and only alone at the top of the mountain, I also wouldn't be against having, sort of RE1 remake and RE5 Chris sort of all together as a sort of a little miniature fellowship going on up there at the top of the ranking.
The triumvirate of holy Chris's.
Yeah, I think they're obviously like they're the most obvious picks in terms of the best Chris outfits, I think, but we all made our case as well, and I think we've got the order down, and I think there is a discernible difference between the remake and the original, but I don't think it's enough to separate them by an entire tier.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Cool.
It also makes the ranking a whole lot more readable.
It's
at least
easier on your eyes.
It makes sense. Once you get down to like C and D, you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, that was my secret reason for doing this. Is just it looks neater to me.
Oh, y'all are manipulating the votes now. Have we ever had one where it was just an S that was solo?
I don't remember. I'm not sure. I know there was definitely conversation about it when it came to Tyrants, when we ranked the Tyrants. I'm not sure where we ended up in the end with that one, but someone can let us know down in the comments below, in fact, if we've ever had a solitary S rank. What's your S rank? What's your D rank for Chris outfits? Let us know how you felt about this ranking down in the comments below. How wrong did we get it per your opinion? Obviously, like this video, subscribe. You can support us on Patreon to see episodes of this show early and everything that we do early, and we appreciate you. Thank you, Burger, for joining me for yet another episode of Tier Death Experience.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jordan, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching, and of course, have a good week.